Life Audio.
What is your motivation? So that when the motivation dies and you're not feeling like it, but you think, I'm going to just review my goals, you've answered this question already. Why am I doing it? Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we have encouraging conversations to help you joyfully harmonize your home and work life. I'm your host, Rebecca Scott. I'm a wife, mother, designer, coach, and author. I'm here to help encourage and empower you to confidently make decisions that work for you and your stage of life, whatever that might be. Hello, encouragers. On this week's podcast, I want to talk to you about a hot button subject that we all really love to do at the beginning of the year. And then we wane a little bit in February, and then we maybe recharge in April a little bit and either recharge or lose it all in June. Do you know what I'm talking about? Goals. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming. Not sometimes. It's almost always overwhelming to think of your goals and to know who are the experts in goal planning and how do I even pursue it and how do I make sure I finish it. And there is a bazillion ways of how to do it and some really good tools out there. So in my humble process of breaking down goals, I'm going to show you today how I have done it over the last probably 6 to 7 years, with gaining some serious insight in the last 1 to 2 years of really narrowing down how to do what's right for my family and for my businesses. So I encourage you to take away what you can and what you can start implementing right away. And my second permission for you today is this. You do not only have to do goals on Mondays or in January. Okay, so if you want to start your goals on Tuesday or Thursday or in July, here is permission. You guys, start the goal whenever, because our tendency, because of the overwhelm, will be to put it off. And I don't want that for you. Half the reason I have gained the successes that I have is because I was able to evaluate my goals, rethink them through, and start over in some cases. So I encourage you to do the same. I have got 4 steps here on coming up with your goals and how to start implementing them. The first step is to identify a goal by asking yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what didn't you like? Now, you have to finish that sentence. What didn't you like 90 days ago? What didn't you like last week? What didn't you like last year? But answer the question, what didn't you like? The second question to ask yourself when identifying your goal is, what do you want more of? Do you want more joy? Do you want more impact? Do you want more money? Do you want more time, freedom, more roles, more family? What do you want more of? And the third question to ask yourself when you're identifying your goal is, what do you aspire to be or do? And that can be an and/or. What is that? What do you want to do? What kind of impact do you want to have? What do you want to be? What are the roles or the titles, if you will? I mean, to me, that's a trickier subject because I don't think about the titles. I just think about who I aspire to be and who I aspire to impact. But maybe that's what it is for you. What do you aspire to do or be? Okay, now that you've answered some of those questions and you've spent some time kind of reflecting on them, the second step is you're going to list 20 to 100 goals. Now, okay, I got a little excited there, but seriously, I want to give you permission to only list 20 of them if it seems really overwhelming, but I also want to give you permission to list 100 of them. Just pour it all out. Go through a brainstorming session with yourself, look at those 3 questions that you answered, and then write down 20 to 100 goals. And then as soon as you've written down the 20 to 100 goals, no matter how many or how few you have, I want you to prioritize them. And that just means looking at them and going, this one is really important to me. So I'm going to put a number 1 next to this. This one sounds like fun, but I don't even know if I can do it right now because of the stage that I'm in. I'm going to put that one at number 30. So after you write down the 20 to 100 goals, permission for whatever that looks like. If it's only 20, it's great. It's great. If it's 100, way to go. Now I want you to prioritize them. The third step is you're going to need to chart it. Now, this is going to be a very, very simple spreadsheet. You can do this on Excel or you can just do this by writing a piece of paper. By now, you know how I feel about paper and pencil. There's something so freeing about it and so raw about it because you're like literally feeling it. So in the first column of the charting your goals, you're going to write timeline. And the question to put right underneath that in the first row, I want you to ask the question, When can I start? Pretty simple. Timeline. The first row is when can I start? That's answering that question. Okay, the second column is going to be the details / breakdown. Okay, and the first row, ask yourself this: what would it take? And what do I control? Okay, so you've got 2 questions that you're going to answer for that column. What would it take to get the goal accomplished? And what do I control as part of this goal? We'll talk about that a little bit more here, okay? The third column will be called execution, and the first row, you want to write this question in there: when could I complete this? Okay, so super simple here, right? Okay, the spreadsheet is the first column, timeline, the second column, details / breakdown, and the third column, execution. And the questions that you're going to ask in these columns is the timeline: when can I start? The details and the breakdown: what would it take and what do I control? And the third one is, when can I complete it? Now, when you keep asking these questions, it makes it easier to fill it in when it's brought to you in the form of a question. Now that you have these mapped out, because you took those 20 to 100 goals and you may not have listed all 100 in here. Maybe you chose your top 5, maybe you chose your top 10, whatever that looks like, you're going to put it into your chart. And now you have got a simple, detailed plan of how to get after your goals. So the fourth step is to review the plan. And when you're reviewing the plan, I want you to ask these 3 questions. I know, you guys, this is a lot of questions, but this will help you fill in the blank and know what is possible. The first question is, what do I control? Now, this is a concept from John Acuff, who I super like. One of his books is called All It Takes Is a Goal. And so this process, I've been doing goals for many, many years. But this one question in his book changed drastically the way that I look at my goals, knowing I can't always force goals to happen. I have to worry about what I can control. I can't force the goal to happen on other people. It has to be what I can control as part of the goal. So ask yourself, what do I control? For example, he gives this example frequently. If you want to make sure that you walk in your neighborhood 3 to 4 times a week, you can't control that your neighbor will be there all those times. But you can control how many times you call or text and ask what works for them. Okay, so what part do you control of your goal? The second question when you're reviewing your goal plan is, what will complete look like? So this gives you a lot of permission that it might just be a mini goal of a big goal. If it is an overarching goal that's big, you may have mini goals to get there. So for example, let's say you want to go to another country to visit because you want to learn more about your own family's history. One of the goals might be to start researching the country and packages to get over there. Okay. So complete looks like, again, you're asking also, what do I control? Making the phone calls to maybe some travel agencies. Maybe it's spending an hour on Google searching some things. What would complete look like for that first mini step? And then if your other goal is like to travel over there during the month of June, okay, so complete would look like the trip is booked. So ask yourself, what will complete look like? And then the third question to ask when you're reviewing your plan is, why am I doing it? How often do we create a goal that we realize later on wasn't our goal? And if you keep asking yourself, why am I doing it? That will be your motivator, because motivation is also going to die. So you've got to have some discipline behind it. So that's why you're also asking yourself the question, why am I doing this? And sometimes for me with reviewing the why am I doing this, sometimes it's a really good idea for myself to have a picture example of what I'm aiming for. I'm a visual learner for sure. And so if I have the picture of the 6-pack abs, which I know that's super vain example here, but seriously, I have a picture of a woman in her 40s with a great looking stomach. That is part of my motivation for continually to work out, because it allows me to still lift the heavy suitcases for my job. It allows me to keep up with my children and allows me to fit my current clothes. So that visual picture reminds me, like, this is why I'm doing the fitness. Then I also have a picture of an old woman who is standing upright and not bent over, because also I don't want that scenario. So I want to treat my body as a temple and I want to take care of it as much as possible. Ask yourself the question, why am I doing it? What is your motivation? So that when the motivation dies and you're not feeling like it, but you think, I'm going to just review my goals, you've answered this question already. Why am I doing it? So now you've learned the 4 steps that I use when I am goal setting. They are: number 1, identify the goal by asking yourself these 3 questions. What didn't you like? What do you want more of? And what do you aspire to do and be? Step number 2 is listing 20 to 100 of the goals and then prioritizing them. Step number 3 is to get busy charting it with that columns and the rows. And step number 4 is to review the plan, asking yourself the questions: what do I control? What does complete look like? And why am I doing it? So those are the steps to identifying the goal. And let me give you a few examples so that this also will serve as a reminder of why we do the goal setting that we do. Let's give you guys a few examples of how to go about taking these 4 steps with your goals. Let's say you want to grow your business. So you've already identified the goal, step number 1. You're going to grow your business. You've identified what you didn't like about your business last year and why you want to do a growth year this year. You've decided what you want more of. Are you growing your business because you want more impact? You need more money. You need more freedom. You need more time with your family. Identify what you want more of. I wanted to impact people with creative processes more. That's very particular for mine. So that's why I chose a growth year. And I also wanted to pay my employees more and myself. So I also chose some financial goals within that. That's why I wanted to grow my business. The third question is, what do you aspire to do and be? So I aspired to grow my business by including another leather brand. Why did I want to do that? Because I wanted to identify where I came from and have more of my Western heritage and to honor my dad. I wanted to aspire to be a designer also. So that is why I identified the goal of growing my business. What would that look like for you? Step number 2 was to list the 20 to the 100 goals and then prioritize them. So we've identified already what the goal was, but maybe within those 20 to 100 goals, I'm also putting the little tiny steps to grow my business in there as well. And then I'm prioritizing which ones I think are more possible than others or which ones could happen first or second. Number 3, I'm going to start charting growing my business as my number 1 goal, let's say. So the timeline is the first column. And the first question is, when can I start? Well, when can I start that? In this case, you could start growing your business today. In the second column, it's the details and the breakdowns. Asking yourself the question, what would it take? Meaning, what part do I control? So what would it take to grow your business? Is it taking a course on how to grow your business? Is it growing your email list? Is it reaching out to the Small Business Bureau? What is it going to take to grow your business? So this is going to have a lot of mini steps in there in column number 2, but it's totally possible. So this is where the details and the breakdown of growing your business would go. And the third column, when you're charting your goal, and this one in particular is growing your business, is the execution. When could I complete this? So then you have to define for yourself, growing my business is what? Is that growing your email list? Is that growing your gross numbers? Is that growing your brand? Is that a certain number of products or services? Then you got to get a little bit more particular on that so that you know when that goal is complete. And the 4th step is to review the plan. Now that you've decided that you want to grow your business as part of your goal plan, you're going to review it in step number 4. What do you control in growing your business? Ask yourself that. What would complete look like, which we've already answered in number 3 when you're charting it. And then this one is, why are you doing it? Why are you growing your business? So you're going to answer that question so that you can stay in tune with why you're accomplishing this goal. All right, let's take another goal, for example. Let's say we're going to identify the goal of wanting to make our marriage better. So we've identified that we didn't get enough time with our spouse last year. We decided that we want more love and closeness and fondness together. And we want to be a couple that's been together for 50 to 60 years. Okay, so we've identified the goal. We want to make our marriage better. So let me go to step number 2. We're going to list 20 to 100 goals on how to make our marriage better. Okay, like what would the tiny, tiny steps on how to make our marriage better and prioritize them? What would be the biggest impact of those? And then number 3, you're going to go ahead and chart making your marriage better. So we've identified what the goal is to make our marriage better. The timeline is, when can I start? Well, you can start that immediately, right? Then you're going to go over column number 2, the details and the breakdown. What would it take? What part of that do you control? Now that's a big one to talk about. You can't force your spouse into things, but what do you control? You can control how you show up. You can control when you're scheduling the date nights. You can control the activities. You can control how often you ask your spouse what they would like to do on the date or what they would like more of from you during the day so that you can more meet their needs. And then that third column is execution. What would complete look like? How will you know when your marriage is getting better? That one obviously has a little bit fuzzier point of it, but what will be a marked thing for you when you know your spouse so well? It's like, you know what? I'll know it's going better when we look forward to taking phone calls from each other, when we look forward to going on our weekend away. What would making your marriage better look like when it's complete? Which obviously it's never complete, but what are some marks that you'd be like, oh, this goal is totally working? And then the fourth is you're going to review the plan that you've come up with for making your marriage better. Ask yourself, what parts do I control? What will complete look like? So we just talked about that a little bit. You know, what would like making your marriage better when you'll be like, sweet, it's at this level now. Now I want to take it to the next level. What does that look like? And then of course, why am I doing it? I want to leave a legacy of love for my children and for generations to come and for the world telling us that the marriages don't work or they're temporary. We're going to fight against that. We're going to tell everybody, no, that is not how this is. We are committed and we're in love. So encouragers, I really just encourage you to take a look at what your goals are for the year. Go through the 4 steps, answer the questions and decide, okay, which ones can I keep working on? Which ones do I want to let go of? What are some resources that I need to help aid this? This is just a simple plan, but believe me, there are all kinds of detailed plans out there. What I've discovered over the years is the more simple I keep it, the more likely I am to complete it. That's just the truth. Like, just for me and my roles and my stage of life and everything that I have going on, if it is not simple and executable, I'm out. And so this is how I've done it for myself, and I thought it would be helpful for you as well. Make sure to use our community on both Facebook and Instagram to tell me if you started a goal plan and what your goals are. If you want to share your goals with us, we would be ecstatic. I love reading how the podcast affects you, which brings me to also, you guys, can you just take 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, and review the podcast? You just scroll down there, you can rate it. Hopefully you give me a 5-star review, and then you can review it. It helps me know that you're hearing it, that it's a subject that you want to hear more of, and it just fuels me to keep going with the podcast. And if you're interested in 2 simple hacks for each one of the 5 systems that we talk frequently about, go to the encouragerpodcast.com, and the pop-it has it right there. Enter your email there, and then you get 2 simple hacks so you can make progress immediately on the systems that we so frequently talk about. Remember at the beginning of the year when I said this year I always leave people with something they can do immediately within 10 minutes of listening to the podcast, because we certainly don't need any more long list of content, but a couple of things that you could do immediately after listening to the podcast. So today, that action is to identify your goals. Just the first 10 minutes after listening to this, I just want you to identify some goals. Ask those 3 questions: what you didn't like or what you don't like, what you want more of, and what do you aspire to do and be. Just those. If you don't follow any other steps, I get it. But identifying the goal will give you enough steam to hopefully complete more of the steps and hang it somewhere where you can read it throughout the day. Until next time, encouragers, we got this because he's got us. Thanks so much for tuning in. If the Encourager podcast has helped or encouraged you in any way, please subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review. And then help us spread the message of encouragement and hope by sharing the podcast with others. Ready to bring more organization and joy into your life? The Encourager Academy helps you harmonize your home and work life through our online course and coaching programs. Our 5-system approach, me, food, family, work, and home, tackles your biggest obstacles, offering lifetime access to video lessons and guided worksheets. Learn at your own pace with practical tools and strategies. Enroll now at encourageracademy.com and use code WeGotThis for $50 off. Are you ready for clarity and purposeful progress without the overwhelm? Join the Clarity Blueprint membership community. Transform your life with like-minded women taking small, meaningful steps twice a month. Access monthly calls, worksheets, videos, guest speakers, and a supportive community with a very affordable price. Say goodbye to chaos and hello to purposeful progress. Visit theencouragerpodcast.com and join today.
Everyone wants to change the world. Capital Ministries is doing just that, one heart at a time, by creating disciples of Jesus Christ among political leaders in the U.S. and foreign nations. For more than 25 years, founder Ralph Drollinger has written Bible studies specifically for public servants. Study along with us and learn what the Bible says about capitalism, communism, abortion, same-sex marriage, and other contemporary issues. Subscribe and follow us at lifeaudio.com or search Capital Ministries on your favorite podcast platform.